up to Chicago, and they used to play summer basketball, and I went up there, and you could probably go to one of my old interviews when I was, much younger, and I said it was like meeting Jesus. That was my depiction of what Jesus would be like, when I met MJ, because I just never thought I would be able to meet him. I never thought that I would see him. You always see him on TV or Sports Illustrated or Sports Illustrated for Kids or basketball cards, if you were lucky. If you were lucky to get a pack with MJ in it. See him on Wheatie boxes, and I would always see his posters when I would go. Me and my friends would walk in the mall. We would see the shoe stores, and obviously I wasn't able to afford Jordans at that point in time in my life, but I would just always love what he was about, and then watch him on TV. So I would give him a lot of the conversation that I'm giving you guys. Sorry, I'm clicking this thing a lot, but it's keeping me calm. It's just, you guys have no idea, man. And I'm trying to give it to you guys, but you guys have no idea what MJ did for me and my friends growing up. Just in the sense of, some days where you just don't even feel like you're gonna make it to the next day where I grew up, because of everything that's going on. So, like I wrote on my shoes tonight, like you saw, I thank MJ more than he you've ever known, and I gotta carry it on to the next kid. Hopefully, I can inspire the next kid, like myself. Appreciate it.
Okay, and I hear meeting Michael Jordan for you was what?
Man, meeting Michael Jordan for me was like, it looked like he was like Jesus, black Jesus walking towards me. Yeah. So when he walked in, it was like, I didn't know what to say. It was overwhelming to meet, to finally meet the guy that I've looked up to my whole life.
Really? Because you've been playing basketball since you came out of the womb?
Well, yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you chose to wear the same number as Michael, too, 23.
Right. Man, that's my inspiration in basketball, to see what he did on the court and to see what he did off the court. I didn't think it was no other number to wear. So I would talk to them. What did you do? What were your experiences? Michael in particular, he's become my big brother. He's been my big brother since I first came in the league. And what was that process like? So I went to them and started understanding the ins and outs of the game and how they approach things and their level of detail and obsessiveness. And that's what I did.
Why do you think, and first of all, let me ask how it felt, but I'm curious to know why you think as well. How did it feel knowing, like, from the moment you got into the league, the guy at the time is the greatest of all time, everybody wants to be like Mike, Gatorade, all this stuff. The level of respect he had for you when he spoke about you, was different than everybody else. And you're an 18, 19-year-old kid at that time.
Yeah.
How did that feel when you heard how he spoke about you?
It made me feel good, but like when I told him, I was like, you didn't say anything I didn't already know. So, so like when I tell you, like when I was in high school, and I used to work out with the 76ers. I used to ask him, what's it like to guard Mike? Mike, you mean Black Jesus? I'm like, what the fuck? Black who? Well, we call him Black Jesus, or you can call him Black Cat. I'm like, I'm gonna call him fucking Mike. That's his fucking name.
Michael would become a two-time College Player of the Year, and his high-flying exploits dazzled fans across the country.
During the 1984 NBA draft, the Blazers passed up on Michael Jordan to take center Sam Bowie's second overall.
Selects Sam Bowie, University of Kentucky. The Chicago Bulls pick Michael Jordan, University of North Carolina.
He wants to indicate where he's going to take off on this dunk.
He just made you wish that you could fly in the air.
He wears strange-looking sneakers.
Oh yes, his own shoe. They call it Air Jordan.
But now, in just a matter of weeks, he has exploded and blossomed into a player of daring creativity.
Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player I've ever seen. Better than LeBron, better than Kobe, better than everybody.
And now in his own town, Chicago, Michael Jordan here to defend the 1987 Slam Dunk Championship.
Just how famous he was. I was there when Bird was coming in and out of here. Bird was famous, Magic was famous.
Here is the defending champion.
Michael had a different level of just, when he walked in, it was like a hurricane. Just every eye in the building was always on him at all times.
Some could describe Muhammad Ali.
It was like Ali.
Scores from previous rounds don't advance. This is the championship. Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan.
It was a contest within the contest.
This is much like a heavyweight championship.
There he goes. He goes in straight, goes up in the air. Now he's sideways. Look at the air. Look at the hang time. Look at the flying motion. Look at his head above the rim.
Well, he's the greatest that's ever played. And
Greatest we ever played.
Yeah.
You go right there.
No question about it.
Michael Jordan is now in a little bit of trouble.
This is the last one from Michael Jordan. He feels the pressure.
Homicidally competitive. Really, almost you could say he had a problem. He was so competitive. His entire life just revolved around beating other people.
Elo looks. Elo in the dance. Back to Elo. He drives. He scores! Elo drove it right down the wing and scores! 199 with 3 seconds to play.
Now Chicago has 3 seconds to try to win it.
Cavs were just 3 seconds away from eliminating the upstart Bulls. But those 3 seconds would have an impact for years to come.
Here's our story here at Richfield Coliseum. One of these teams will advance to the Eastern Conference semifinals against the New York Knicks. The Bulls have 3 seconds to try a shot and try to win the game. You'll see the drama unfold.
The thing that made Michael so special, he did it on the highest level.
He's an individual that is universally recognized as one of and arguably the greatest basketball player that we have ever seen.
So the level of fear that he inspired in others was insane. Wow. And I would tell him, I said, when I face him, we're going to go at it. He says, oh, you don't want to do that. I'm like, what? Man, you don't know me, man. And so when we matched up, I think he understood that. And, you know, when I was 18, my first year, he got the best of me a bunch of times. I was right there the next play. You're not intimidating me. I'm not going anywhere. And I think he saw that level of respect because I think he was the same way at 18 years old. And that common bond is what I think, you know, where our connection was built.
Yeah, it was great watching you guys going back and forth, whether it was the All-Star game or whether the famous scene where, you know, you're guarding him, he's in front of you, you're asking him a question, there's a question, and he's saying footwork and do this.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful watching that take place with the two of you guys. How's your relationship today?
It's my big brother, man. Like, I can't, you know, it's, we talk often. We send each other Christmas cards every year.
Send each other Christmas cards.
Every year. That we have nothing to do with, but, you know, yet and still, you know. But we're extremely close, man.
Jordan, 20-footer, head of the key, good! Chicago is world champions once more. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. What a finish.
I never gave up. I never gave up. Every time we were close, I knew we were going to do it. I knew it.
Well, for Bulls fans, there is, of course, cause for celebration tonight after a 6th championship that came harder than the others. But there's some anxiousness mixed in as well. Who knows how all of this will play out, but it's certainly possible that tonight we saw the last of the Chicago Bulls as we have known them. And whether it ends here or sometime in the near future,
there are a lot of ways for a dynasty to die. Age, neglect, the failure to replenish and recycle, the vagrancies of free agency, utter and complete stupidity of an owner. What we have with the last dance and death of the Bulls dynasty is nothing short of murder, calculated and premeditated. On January 13th, 1999, Michael Jordan announced his long-expected retirement from basketball. and the Chicago Bulls dynasty his presence created vanished like a snowdrift in a Chinook wind. It took 8 months to dismantle the Chicago Bulls. However, there's a long history showing that we have to begin the story 14 years before the demise. In March 1985, Jerry Reinsdorf became the owner of the Bulls and gave all management power to his beloved Jerry Krause. Reinsdorf didn't know much about basketball, and Krause was his brain. Krause began his career as a basketball scout in 1961. He discovered a lot of baseball and basketball superstars. Now he got a chance to run the Bulls. Not more than a year after, Michael Jordan and Krause clashed. This is how everything started. Jordan broke his foot earlier in the '86 season, and Krause sent 3 specialists to examine the injury. They said there's a 90% chance of re-injuring if Jordan returns in the season. Jordan ignored doctors' advice. Krause showed up with a tape recorder in a meeting with MJ and doctors. Jordan got furious about this. Another session, now Jordan with the tape recorder. They don't want me to play. So they missed the playoffs again and tanked the team. Get a high draft pick. Krause turned to Michael and said, "You're going to do what we say. You're our property." That was the time young MJ realized he was in a business. But Jordan came back. The Bulls made the playoffs. He scored 49 in the first game and 63 in the second game against the Celtics. The second crackdown was 2 years later when Krause traded Michael Jordan's best friend, Charles Oakley, for Bill Cartwright. Jordan was in Vegas for the Mike Tyson fight when the trade happened. And there's a Phil Jackson side of the story. In '87, Krause picked him as Doug Collins' assistant. 2 years later, the team was his. He was the third coach the two Jerrys hired since 1985. Jackson had winning teams in the CBA. CBA? What does it stand for? Cockroach Basketball Association. Jackson was a classic Krause hire because he virtually was blacklisted from the NBA because of his oddball reputation and had languished in the CBA 5 years. Jackson's staff, the originator of Doberman defense, Johnny Bach, and Mr. Triangle, Tex Winter. Success came early. The Bulls won their first championship in Jackson's second year as head coach. Jordan, Pippen, and Jackson bonded a big brother-little brother relationship. They went to wars together. Phil ran Triangle in 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, it was all Michael Jordan. The result, 3-peat. Jordan retires, comes back after 18 months. Bulls get eliminated by the Orlando Magic. Krause, again, built a successful championship team around Jordan that can complement him in his first full season after comeback. Remember, he got Paxson in '85, Cartwright for Oakley in '88, drafted Pippen and Horace Grant in '87, drafted Kukoc in 1990, got Steve Kerr in '93, Ron Harper became a key player. Now it was time for Dennis Rodman. Nobody wanted Rodman in the league at that time. George Karl said Dennis Rodman was the real Finals MVP in 1996. Accept it or not, Krause was the architect of the Bulls' success. But the battle of big egos continued. You could feel the animosities between the team and the front office in this footage. The Bulls had their best season, 72-10, and minutes after winning the 1996 championship, Reinsdorf sends kudos to Krause.
But more, if you had to give credit to one man, the guy that put them all here, Jerry Krause. Jerry, I heard you say...
Bob Costas asked Phil if he's coming back or not. It is his best season. Coach of the year.
This is a question that has to be asked. Do you expect to be back here as you go for 2 in a row and 5 overall next year?
They want me back. If the management wants me back, I'll come back. It's got to be right. It'll be right.
They had 3 Hall of Famers, the greatest coach ever, and the media always asked, will you come back? Every year.
A lot of questions for Jerry Reinsdorf, but the main ones are, will Rodman, Jordan, and Phil Jackson all be back next year?
Well, right now, I just want to enjoy the moment, the celebration that's going on here, and the visit that we have to Grant Park, and then we'll worry about those things later. Right now, all I want to think about is what this team accomplished and what an incredible job that Jerry Krause did in putting together a team of players that anybody else could have had, many of whom nobody wanted.
Again, Reinsdorf doesn't answer the question. and gives props to Krause.
What would be the reason for any one of the three not returning?
Jim Gray is a smart guy and sneaked those questions. It's June 1996, but you could clearly see that the Bulls dynasty couldn't last longer than 2 more years. There was a time coming that Phil Jackson could no longer live with Krause being his boss, and Jordan and Phil were treated so shamelessly and cynically by the two Jerrys. Everyone knew the Bulls were on a 2-year plan. Michael was likely around for 2 years. Rodman had a 2-year deal. The Bulls could let Pippen's contract go without having to give him a major deal. Scottie signed his deal in '91, and he was incredibly underpaid, complained about it all the time. In 1998, he was the 6th player in the Bulls salary ranking with $2.7 million, while Michael was getting paid $30 million every year.
You know, from a financial standpoint, from a contract standpoint, he's locked in, and he's very deserving of the same $30 million, 30, whatever I get in the next coming year. He's very deserving of the same contract.
Proudest moment I've had a long time, and you're the greatest fans in the world, and that's what this is all about. Thank all of you.
All right, congratulations, Jerry.
Jerry Krause alienated Jordan, Pippen, and Jackson. Prolonged contract battles and personality clashes caused communication rifts between Krause and the trio. Krause's desire to replace Jackson with a coach who would work more closely with management destroyed the relationship with him. He always wanted to prove he doesn't need Jordan or Jackson to build a championship team. So, Phil Jackson tried to use players and his resentment on Krause to motivate the Bulls for championships. Players versus the management. Sometimes you grow closer out of the things that happen to ball clubs and individuals to bring them together even closer. Tension brings weird experiences to people. This made Krause feel betrayed. He was the one who saved Jackson from the CBA. Without him, Jackson was out of the league. Phil Jackson used tension to succeed. He closed the door to the team locker room at times after games and excluded Krause. In one of Jackson's contract proposals to Reinsdorf, he had a clause inserted that would ban Krause from the team playing and move Krause's office from the Berto Center to the United Center with the rest of the staff. Reinsdorf would have none of it, and the negotiations began to take an ugly tenor. Reinsdorf decided to side with Krause, who has proven loyal to him beyond a doubt. He couldn't be sure with Jackson. Players responded to Jackson, who had the day-to-day frustration of dealing with the meddling boss. Jackson just wanted to coach the Bulls, but Krause would make demands, question Jackson's rotations and use of players. Phil used every tool against Krause. He was a master of controlling people. He was able to manage Jordan, who was a brutal, super competitive teammate that can run players out of the NBA.
Being a champion, being the best in the world, you know, it's a great feeling. I'm tired, I'm weak, but I got a whole summer to recuperate.
The Bulls won the 5th title, and if that weren't enough, betrayed Krause said in the '97 training camp, organizations win championships, not players. That was a slap on the players, and Michael took it personal.
I like to see some of those organization guys step out there and play, you know, and I didn't see that. Also, the team step out there and play. Well, you want me to be GM, I guess. Take Jerry Krause's position. Well, I think this team is entitled to an opportunity to continue to be successful. Sure, business has got to come involved. I'm not saying Jerry Reinsdorf is the richest guy in the world. I'm not saying that all his partners can financially support what this team needs to maintain and be successful. But we've done a lot for this organization, and we put it in a situation where it could be highly valuable. When I first came here, and I'm pretty sure everybody can tell you that the Bulls team was worth probably $13 million, 15, 16, 17 million dollars. Now it's worth $150 million. So the profits have been made over the years. What we gain now in trying to keep this team together and be successful, we paid for over 6, 7, 8, 10 years. There has to have some consideration, some sense of loyalty. You know, to myself, to Scottie, to Phil, even to the guys who, you know, given themselves over the last 2 years, or even Dennis, with all the different colors that he may wear in his hair or his dresses or whatever. we're entitled to defend what we have until we lose it. If we lose it, then you look at it and you say, okay, let's change. Let's just go through a rebuilding. No one's guaranteeing rebuilding is going to be 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years. Cubs have been rebuilding for 42 years. And that's something that you have to look at, you know, from a business aspect. So if you want to look at this from a business thing, have a sense of respect for the people who have laid the groundwork so that you can be a profitable organization. And I'm not trying to twist Jerry Reinsdorf's arm. It sounds like it, though.
This is your last year?
It's very obvious that, you know, they said that Phil's not coming back. You know, he says wild horses couldn't drag him back. And I've always linked my career to that, you know, so it isn't anything that's too surprising to you guys. And if Phil's treating it, and I'm pretty sure the management is treating this as Phil's last year, then I'm treating it as my last year as well.
My position as coach is, you know, in a position that's this year terminated, and you know, we've talked about that over the course of the year, and that's the way it stands as far as the owner and I are concerned.
Phil, I know you've said that this is your last year as Bulls coach, but would there be any set of circumstances that would bring you back? I read recently where you said that if you were asked, you might say yes, and then Jerry Krause kind of put the kibosh on that and said this is your farewell tour.
Looks like it is. Bye-bye.
I have to thank this man, because without his vision, I promise you, there wouldn't be no Hall of Fame Allen Iverson standing at this podium if it wasn't for this guy. He gave me the vision, man. And, you know, you want to be fast like Isaiah, and you want to shoot like Bird, you know, rebound like Barkley, pass like Magic, be dominant like Shaq. But, man, I wanted to be like Mike. You know what I mean? I remember the first time I played against him, and I walked out on the court, and I looked at him, and for the first time in my life, a human being didn't look real to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if y'all watch the Chappelle Show, but he talked about a certain incident where somebody seen Rick James, and like, I literally seen his aura. Like it looked like he was glowing. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, like, man, that's Mike. And I'm looking at him. I can't stop looking at him. Like, I'm looking at his shoes, and I'm like, man, he got on the Jordans. I mean, it was Mike. He was my idol, my hero. And I remember just hating the Knicks so much, and the bad boys beating them up the way they did. I used to watch him and sit on my mom's bed